Welcome everyone, welcome everyone, welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you watched yesterday's video, then you know what today's video is going to be about. It's going to be about college football. And if you watched yesterday's video, then you know yesterday's video was my SWA preview, trying to get everybody to come out and see us tonight, which is why I'm wearing my referee shirt, because right after I get done doing the video, we're going to be heading out to SWA. So if you're available tonight, please come out and see us. And tomorrow's video will be a quick SWA review of all the things that you're going to miss tonight if you don't come out and be with us tonight in East Denali, Georgia at 244 Livestock Road. But today's video is going to be about college football. And as I said when I did my early North Carolina season preview last Thursday, in the video I mentioned a couple of things that I wanted to talk about because they're good topics to talk about, but you'd rather talk about them during the college football off season instead of talking about them during the season, because during the season you want to focus on what's happening actually on the field and not all the off the field stuff. So today's video is going to be about some of the best traditions in college football. Now, after you watch this video, if you have any thoughts or suggestions or comments of anything happening in the world of college football as far as traditions, please feel free to drop them in the comment page. I always look forward to hearing from you. Coming up one day later on this week, since there will not be a NASCAR review this week because of it being the All-Star race, I'm going to give you some of the coaches that I think are on the hot seat heading into the 2021 season. So if you have any thoughts on coaches who you think might be on the hot seat, please feel free to go ahead and let me know about that. And also coming up here in the next few weeks, it looks like college football is going to be going to a 12-team playoff starting in the 2023 season. They haven't officially said that it's going to happen, but I'm sure that it is. And they've also not officially said when it will happen, but they said it will not be before 2023, so I think it will be in 2023. I think it's going to destroy college football. I think it's a terrible idea, and I'll give some thoughts on that coming up here in the next few weeks as well. And also, my buddy Mike, who won our 500 subscriber giveaway, wants me to give a top 10 on best home stadium atmospheres, I guess you could call it. So we'll do that coming up on one of these Wednesdays before the season starts. Our top 10 countdown that week will be college football related. And Mike, I know you're a dedicated viewer and you watch all the videos, and you've asked me to do that, and that is my plan. So if I forget, please feel free to remind me, because it's not by intentional thoughts that I forgot. I just forget because I'm always getting so many thoughts and suggestions on a top 10 countdown, and I want to do that coming up before football starts, but it's still 3 months away, so I may forget. So if I do, I apologize. Just remind me. But I do want to get to the best top 10 stadium atmospheres before the season starts. Before we get into some of the best traditions, I want to know if you have any thoughts on Demetrius Robertson leaving Georgia. It doesn't surprise me. I think it's just fallback from Eric Gilbert going there. Demetrius Robertson, if you recall, played his freshman season at Cal and had over 600 yards. It looked like he was going to be a star, and he is a 5-star. He transferred to Georgia, and in 3 seasons he's caught, I believe, 42 passes, which is basically pretty much one catch a game. So is he really a 5-star that just for whatever reason has never fit in at Georgia? Or is he just extremely badly rated, and he's nowhere near a 5-star. If you have any thoughts on him or where you think he'll go, please feel free to let me know about that. But I'm going to go ahead and get into the traditions, and this will not be a top 10 countdown because we do those on Wednesday. This is just going to be a list of some of the best overall traditions in college football. Now, there is more than this, but these are the ones that pretty much, if you are just a casual viewer of college football, you've pretty much heard about these traditions. Now, almost every team has some kind of tradition, whether it's pregame, after the first quarter, halftime, after the third quarter, postgame. Just about every team has some kind of tradition, but these are the ones that pretty much hold a special place in almost everybody's heart for one reason or another. And if you have any thoughts on what you think is a good tradition that is not going to be on this list, please feel free to let me know. Now, I will say, when I brought this up on the North Carolina video Thursday before last, the only person that's commented and gave me any thoughts on what they think is a good tradition is the aforementioned Mike that I mentioned a few minutes ago. He's the only person that gave me a whole entire list of some of the traditions that he likes. So I guess you could pretty much say this is my list along with Mike's list, because when I asked for comments, he was the only one that gave me a full sheet of paper on some of the traditions that he likes, and that's what I wanted. I like getting feedback. So I'm glad Mike gave me those suggestions. First, we have the Colorado Buffalo pregame ritual, which includes them running onto the field with a buffalo. I think that's just cool, seeing that buffalo run onto the field like that. And then we have Oklahoma, which has the Schooner Sooner, which is basically just an old-fashioned 1800 style wagon, and they have this all-male spirit squad called the Nuffrex. Now, of course, everybody has seen this, but the only time that it really gets talked about is when they come on the field and get through the end zone and try to turn the curve too fast, and they flip. And that only happens like once every 3 or 4 years. But when it happens, you'll see it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. So everybody has seen that pregame ritual. And then we also have rubbing Howard's Rock, which is one that Mike left me. I know when I asked for comments, I said, let's please don't use our own team, because everybody's going to think their team has the best, pregame ritual or whatever it happens to be. And I know you're thinking, I'm a Clemson fan, so of course I put it on there. I didn't. I put it on there because when Mike left me his comments on some of his great rituals at these schools, one of them he mentioned was Clemson rubbing Howard's Rock. So I did not put that on the list. Mike put it on the list. But it is more than just Howard's Rock. They also have, running down the hill, which Brett Musburger one time about 10 years ago said it was the best 25 seconds in college football, but they've been rubbing Howard's Rock for a long, long time. And then we have Penn State and Pittsburgh. Both of those schools right up the road from each other sing Sweet Caroline. Now, it's been going on for years and years and years. It started out at Penn State, and now Pittsburgh does it. And then Pittsburgh has thrown in their own little cheer in between the notes. Well, they'll say, let's go Pitt, let's go Pitt. But Sweet Carolina is just one of those songs that just makes you feel good and puts you in the mood. The Boston Red Sox also play it at almost all their home games. There's just something about that song that puts you in a good mood. But Penn State and Pittsburgh both do Sweet Caroline. Penn State also jumps up and down to that song. I believe it's called Zombie Nation. I'm not positive, but I think that's what it's called. But it really got popular around 07 or 08. Now you pretty much hear that song at almost every college football stadium in America after a touchdown, after a field goal, between quarters. So for Penn State to do that, does it make them different? Because there was a time when that song first went big that it was everywhere at every school, and then every other school finally figured out how stupid it was, and Penn State ain't figured that out yet. So I'm not going to give them credit for doing Zombie Nation because that song should have been stopped 10 years ago. But it does still happen at Penn State. But the Sweet Caroline part from Penn State and Pittsburgh both are very cool traditions. And then, of course, we have Virginia Tech when they sing Enter Sandman before the game. Now, of course, we used to see this all the time back when Frank Beamer was their coach and they were a traditional powerhouse top 10 team every year. They were pretty much on primetime TV just about every single week. But now with Fuente, they're a 6-6 team, 7-5 maybe. But Enter Sandman is a very cool tradition, and they do still do it. It just doesn't get glorified like it used to because they're no longer a powerhouse football school. Now they're just eh. And then we also have South Carolina with their pregame routine of 2001 Space Odyssey. And just like Virginia Tech, it doesn't get talked about like it used to because they're trash. But back when Steve Spurrier was there and they were good, that was also something that you got to see pretty much almost every single week on a weekly basis was their, pregame routine, which includes 2001 Odyssey. But now that they're not any good, unless you actually go to a game, you're not going to see it because they're so bad. Even if they're on TV, the game's not going to come on until it's kickoff time because their stadium's half empty because they're garbage. But it's still a routine that's been around for a long time, and it's a pretty cool pregame thing. I just wish South Carolina could get back to at least 500 so we could hear more of that because, like I said earlier about Sweet Caroline, there's just something about that 2001 Space Odyssey that makes you feel good and makes you want to fight. So it's actually a good song. It's just, South Carolina pretty much now so irrelevant that nobody talks about it. And then we have Wisconsin. Their entire stadium before every home game jumps up and down to jump around, jump around, jump around. So they do what the song says and they jump around, jump around, jump around, which is a song that just supposed to put you in the mood to want to hit somebody. And it works because you spend 3-4 minutes jumping up and down saying, jump around, jump around, jump around. Well, then you're going to be ready to run through a wall. So it works. That's what Wisconsin does for their home games. And then we have one that pretty much now, because of the PC world we live in now, that's pretty much non-existent, but it was around for a long time. And I'm not even a fan of this team, but I've got to admit that seeing 95,000 fans and synchronization doing the Gator Chomp at the University of Florida was a very cool thing. It would make you want to hit somebody, and I'm not even a Florida fan, but just seeing 95,000 fans all go like this at the same time was a cool thing, whether you like Florida or not. But like I said, it's pretty much gone now, but it was a cool thing back in the day. And then, of course, we have Iowa waving to the Children's Hospital, which happens at every home game at Kinnick Stadium after the first quarter. And this tradition only started, I believe, in 2016, I think, maybe 2017. So it hasn't been around that long, but it happens at every Iowa home game after the first quarter. And it's not just Iowa. It's the opposing team, whoever they play. Every single person on both sides of the field totally forgets about football for 2 minutes and turns around and waves to the Children's Hospital. And I think that's great. I think it's a great tradition. I think it's wonderful that they built a brand new Children's Hospital and built it right beside the football stadium because it gives all the kids in the Children's Hospital something to think about besides why they're in the Children's Hospital for 3.5 hours every Iowa home game Saturday. And I think that's just wonderful. It just goes to show that even though we love college football, there are still more things out there more important than college football. And then we have Florida State. Of course, their pregame routine includes Chief Osceola, and the horse he rides in on is called Renegade. And just like what I said a while ago about Florida, this is a tradition that pretty much won't even be seen or talked about probably in the next 4 or 5 years. But for now, it's a wonderful, wonderful tradition. and I love seeing it. And I'm not a Florida State fan, but I know if they're on TV and I'm watching them, I enjoy seeing Osceola ride on Horse Renegade to midfield and throw that big spike down before the kickoff of every Florida State home game at Doak Campbell Stadium. These are just some of the great traditions in the world of college football. If you have any thoughts on any tradition that you think is cool that I should have mentioned, please feel free to drop it in the comment box. And like I said, coming up one day later on this week, we're going to be getting to my opinion of some of the coaches that are heading into 2021 on the hot seat. And if they don't have good seasons, it'll be the last season that they're coaching at whatever respective school they're at right now. So if you have any thoughts or comments on some coaches that you think are on the hot seat, please feel free to drop them as well in the comment section. Let me go ahead and give you my dad joke of the day before we get out of here. A truck loaded with Vicks Vapor Rub overturned on the highway. Amazingly, there was no congestion for 8 hours. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.